Hey, welcome to the Wayfarer podcast. I'm Zach Elliott. This is Katya. That's Jonathan, Jared, and over there, Riley. Together, we are hoping to recover what has been for centuries the most helpful metaphor for the Christian life, that of a wayfarer, somebody on a journey. And that has been universally understood, lost in the modern age, and we get to kind of recover it together. So it's good to see you. This has become like my favorite group to hang out with, and barely could start this podcast because we were laughing so hard in the beginning. So rough takeoff due to my stumbling, but it's good to see you. How's everybody doing?
Fire.
Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Living life.
Riley?
Pretty
Ready to
good.
go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm ready.
I like
Okay.
the sweater, Riley. It looks good.
Thank you.
Looking suave.
Yeah, going for the old money aesthetic. You know?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, taking a shot. New outfit.
I'm trying to have a money aesthetic. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
That's true.
It's so good. This is episode 3. So we're starting to get to know each other. We said friendship first. That's the way we were going to start this journey, and that we didn't want to just have content. Again, there's so much of that. So many times people sit down and there's ideas, but we literally get to live life together, which is pretty fun. And it's been cool to have a conversation on perspective. Last time we were talking about pace and that big overarching idea of long, slow, deep, that what we're after is not just going to be an episode or a clip or a conversation, but really an invitation to say, let's walk together and beside each other. And that's going to mean good high highs and low lows. And the world has seen a ton of that. We've had October 7th and the complete loss of life and just tragedy and devastation over the Middle East. Here in Tampa, we've had tragedy in different parts of our city. And that's been the case, I know, for many people across the country. It was just kind of a weird and hard October. So, and that's okay. That's part of long, slow, and deep. And that's where we are last time. Tonight, last conversation, we were talking about holidays, and like all of a sudden, holiday number 1, which was everyone's favorite, Thanksgiving, is like right here. We're Thanksgiving. So what's Thanksgiving like? Jonathan, what are you doing?
I'm going to be smoking some turkeys, staying here at home, maybe deep fry one. We'll see.
Okay, so plans are coming to fruition, because that's what you said. You said you smoke a turkey.
Yeah, I always get signed up for it.
Yeah. You, Jonathan, barbecue.
Smoking.
He
A
loves
turkey.
smoking,
Oh,
right? That's his favorite.
And I believe him.
Grateful.
I believe him now. We had a barbecue the other night. We were cooking. I don't know what people say, grilling out or barbecuing. Depends on what part of the world you're in. Jonathan, I don't even know what you call that. You brought out a blowtorch.
There's a roofing torch.
It was the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like,
Sous
Well-
vide and roofing torch.
Yeah, crazy. So you're going to be smoking
Outrageous.
turkey or blowtorching turkey or something. Jared, what are you doing Thanksgiving?
Going home to old Raleighwood, North Carolina, to see the family and hanging out. Oh, yeah.
Good old Raleigh.
Raleighwood.
Do you
Yeah, my
fly or
mom used to
drive?
call me that.
I'm actually
Aw.
driving this time, which is going to be real tough. But getting to see some friends along the way, so it should be pretty good.
Riley, plans?
Staying home. Most of my family lives in Tampa, so we always have a tradition. We go over to my aunt's house, which used to be my grandparents' house, and we all hang out there, make some turkeys, bunch of food, invite everybody who doesn't have a place to go over, and all the family, and we hang out. And usually, if it's cool enough, we'll go outside to the backyard and set the projector up and watch a movie, and a Christmas movie always, and set the fire up, and it's fun.
that's awesome.
Yeah, good tradition.
Yeah. For everybody who's not in Florida, that like makes no sense. You know, like November, you're like,
Yeah.
wait, you're going in the backyard and setting up an outdoor movie. But it's literally so fun in Florida, like cool weather, and it's been decent,
Best.
like kind of cool. What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
Waking up, watching the Macy's Day Parade,
Thank you.
gonna have some coffee, and then we start cooking, and that's like my favorite. And then when it's actually time to eat, it's like not as fun. Like, and I know that sounds weird, but it's like the act of like just being with the people I love, and we're just cooking and, you know, watching the parade and listening to music, and the doors are open because it's that like peak Florida weather of just like a nice 70 because it's like that's the coldest it
Kind
gets
of
here.
brisk.
You know, it's kind of brisk, kind of chilly. Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Really psyched.
I'm with you. The Macy's Day Parade, and like the highlight is the morning, and it's the
Yeah.
getting ready, and it's the prepping and cooking and the house smelling. And Jared's like, no, it's the eating.
That's an insane take, that
Yeah.
the eating is not the best part of Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I
Well,
agree. Like
I
when
don't
you're cooking
know.
all day, like you just want to watch other people eat. I'm not hungry after I cook all day.
Yeah. Oh, I've never cooked, so
Well,
I'm
maybe
normally
there's a problem.
active participant of watching.
Someone's got to do
football.
the eating though.
Last time we were
Step
together,
up.
you said ham over turkey. Were you serious about that?
Oh, I'm 100% on ham over turkey. I think it's a no-brainer. I think turkey, it's like fine. It's not like great, but
I agree, low key. I feel like turkey kind of has like sometimes it can be kind of dry, but ham it always
That's a
hits the
bad
spot.
turkey then.
Yeah, turkey's hard to get right.
It's tough to get right.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
It's
you got to
tough
be
get
pretty
right.
good to get turkey right.
Yeah.
Jonathan knows about.
If we do see, if everybody who's watching loves this, then we do a season 2, then we'll have to have a cooking show where we actually cook and try. It's not as easy as people think. Cooking a turkey well that's difficult stuff.
Thanksgiving special.
Yeah. Do you cook?
I'm trying. I'm like starting to get into it, but I don't know. And not like crazy. I wouldn't say craziness, but I'm practicing.
Good. Do it. Riley, you cook.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to make?
Like in general or Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving.
Peanut butter
Thanksgiving? Usually my aunt makes it, but I've made it once or twice. But sweet potato casserole is just so good.
Put marshmallows on top.
Oh, it's the
Oh,
best part.
yeah.
I was
It's the
just gonna
best
say, We're
part.
gonna get so distracted because I have to know if that's how when you say sweet potato casserole, that's what you mean. Marshmallows,
Gotta have
Oh, yeah.
marshmallows.
all that. I
Yeah.
have never experienced that until we moved to Florida.
Really?
What?
Yeah,
Sorry.
we have roasted sweet potatoes and but never like marshmallows. That's how you do it?
Oh my gosh. Is this like a Florida tradition and not like a do you
Maybe
do
it's
this
a
too?
South
I think
thing,
it's
I
a
guess?
South
I
thing.
think it's
Southern?
South. It's-
Welcome to the South.
I guess
That makes
so.
People
sense.
who don't go hiking after, eating Thanksgiving.
Mm.
Yeah, Northwest people like boneless, skinless, go for a run like a 5K in the morning and then
Yeah.
eat like
No.
Insane.
Green
Turkey
beans.
trots.
yeah.
It's not it.
Well, it's good. Like, bring it back. The table. That's where literally, I can't remember if it was episode 1 or episode 2. We talked about that's literally our favorite place to be, at the table. And tonight, we have like a little family tradition that's emerging. It's coming, and to offer a toast. And the toast embodies these two essential things. So, Wayfarer podcast toast is simply this: we just say, "Never alone, walking on." That's the toast. And never alone. So there you go. Cheers.
Never alone.
Walking on.
There you go. Cheers.
Cheers, Riley.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Those two things, those are like essential DNA of the wayfaring life. Never alone. The presupposition for what we're talking about is that we are not just setting out on a journey, autonomous, individualist, make it on your own. That's literally the opposite of what we're talking about. We started out in the first episode saying Jesus's invitation was literally relational. Follow me. And he was saying, I'm going somewhere, and you didn't choose me. I chose you to come and follow me. And so right from the jump for the wayfaring life, it's relational. The destination itself is relational. That what we're aiming at is life with God and life together. And so it never ceases. You don't end a journey. You're into a journey. And it's so wonderful to participate in that. And I want to pull on that thread because we're in a moment where you've heard us talk about this before on Lab, the podcast. There's two great crises of our time: the crisis of meaning and the crisis of meaningful connection. People are just saying, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be alive right now? And I feel very much alone. And I came across this quote from Mother Teresa. She said, loneliness and the feeling of being unwanted is the most terrible poverty. And so when we raise those glasses and say never alone, the point is it's kind of a shot across the bow. It's a protest to that's not the way it was supposed to be. We're not to do life alone. Mother Teresa, loneliness and the feeling of being unwanted is the most terrible poverty. Do you feel like that's true?
What did you pick me? You thought that was most relatable to me?
I just felt like you the lonely person.
You're like unwanted.
If
Jared,
anyone
do you have
would
a
know.
comment on unwanted?
Kelly's got a big family. Katya, I know she's got a
I have a loving
Jared, do you
family
feel
too,
like
Mom.
that's
I
true?
love you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. I think, even, I think introvert, extrovert oftentimes gets thrown around like the idea of, I like being alone. Like I like being with people. And I think that can be true. But, in total, I think having people around that love you and support you is so critical to like living a good life. Like even if you're doing all these things that can, personally be successful. I mean, I think you see people who are rich or get to the top and are very successful that don't have people around them that love them. And it's like they still feel very lonely and feel very empty, so you can achieve all these things but still feel empty. And I think that's why you have people who maybe don't have a lot of stuff, but have a lot of people around them that love them, and they feel more satisfied and full in life.
Yeah, you can have all the things and be surrounded by a ton of comfort and a ton of wealth. Mother Teresa's point, loneliness and that feeling of being unwanted is the most terrible poverty. Jonathan, you think that's true?
Yeah, definitely. I oftentimes when I'm experiencing something that I worked for and I'm proud of and that I wanted, like it's kind of boring if it's alone. Like you want to be able to show it to someone or share it with someone, and if everything you work for is just for yourself, like it never gets out there. What's the point?
Yeah, good life is shared life,
Mhm.
and there's something that we're made for that. Yeah. Katya, have you ever experienced, has there been a season in life where you felt that kind of loneliness, like the acute sense of loneliness? I mean, you come from a family with, siblings and family and parents and grandparents and the whole thing, but have you ever felt that?
Yeah, no, totally. Like I've been in situations where I've had over 30 friends, as outrageous as that sounds, but I still feel incredibly alone because unless we connect on like that deeper sense and we can actually open up about something like deeper than what we're going to wear tomorrow at the party, like you just feel incredibly by yourself. And I mean, I'd say right now I probably have like a good 3 or 4 or 5 friends, but I've never felt more like loved because there's so much more substance to it. And I mean, at times I can be alone, but I feel more in solitude than I do lonely.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know if that makes sense.
No, totally. There's a distinction there that's really important. Solitude is good.
Yeah.
Jesus withdrew. We need that. We need solitude, but that feeling of unwanted and lonely, isolated, I don't have someone that knows me or I'm not known by people. And I think you're right that you can be surrounded by people. You can have people all over your life and your news feeds and everything and still feel very much alone. Have you felt that?
Yeah, my mind immediately goes to COVID during that time when we couldn't be with people, and I couldn't spend time with friends or family, and working remotely, doing school remotely, and that was an extremely lonely time and probably like very, very dark times. And I know multiple people who experienced that too, and when they found themselves alone, it kind of brought out the worst in them, and that was a turning point for them. It was for me, just finding who you are when you're completely isolated, and then realizing who you can be, who you can turn into if you keep going down that way, and deciding to change. And I know a few people, COVID was that wake up for them. So it goes to like a good solitude in a way, but maybe not that much.
Yeah. It's interesting that it's like you would think, I think oftentimes people think about being alone, like you can like discover who you are and like get self-awareness, but there's something about like friends who know you and can encourage you, can like really speak into who you are, and
Keep you in check.
Yeah, keep you in check, help you have a lot of that self-awareness that I think, being alone often creates this spiral of who am I, what am I doing, what's the purpose, what's going on, that I think can be a lonely spiral.
Right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I mean, I was thinking about this like last week, I think, from something that I was going through. But do you think like it's hard when you get stuck, like when you get in that posture of like, oh, it's okay, I think I should go through this on my own instead of going through it with your friends or, a group of people in your corner, like, no, I should go through this alone. Do you think it's like easy to like get out of that, or like is it harder once you like try doing something like on your own without a group of friends? Like, do you think it's hard to get out of that?
I was just about to jump in because, and like it hit on the dot with what I was thinking, because I think that that's like the perfect prompt to get you going where you want to be. Because obviously, like, you were in that group and you felt that discomfort and that like tension almost, and it prompted you to say, I'm going to go on my own. And at that point, that's when solitude comes into like fruition. Like, that's when that wisdom comes because you've seen things and now it's time to digest it. And I feel like a lot of times people just go from group to group and they never really get to the point of why they had to leave and why they continue to leave. And so just as you were talking about extrovert, introvert, I think that just as much as the extrovert wants to go out, he needs to become an introvert and really digest what just happened. And then the introvert who doesn't ever want to go out and make friends and venture into a new group of people who will influence them into the light that they should be walking into, they should be going out, is what I'm trying to say. Like, test the roles.
It's hard, though. I think I'm with you that there can be a point. I hear what Riley's saying, that where you get, I've been there before anyway, to where you get to the point where enough life has happened and you maybe have withdrawn from other people or stepped back from relationships that you've had. And then there's a lot of life that has happened, and to reconnect and to step back into those things, it feels like it's a big step to take and a risk to take to re-enter. And because maybe you've changed in that time of solitude too. And that can be, I don't know, that can be an awkward re-entry point too. I've felt that. I think the Ruth Haley Barton book quote or book recommendation. There you go, Ruth Haley Barton. But it's worth it. This is such a good book, Silence and Solitude. Her book, Silence and Solitude, wonderful book. And she uses the metaphor of a jar of river water. And says, imagine if you dip a jar of river, or a jar, like a glass canning jar, into a river, and you put a lid on it and you shake it up. What's inside that? And you won't be able to make sense of it. It'll just like look like muddy water. But if you set that thing down and don't touch it for 10 seconds or 15 seconds or 20 seconds, those layers start to separate. And all of a sudden you could say, oh, that's what's in there. That's what's in there. And our life is like that too.
That changed my life. I was literally just telling Jared about this, like, I think Saturday, about that exercise and like how impactful that was to my life. And it took like 3 weeks for me to like start piecing it together and see the layers. But it really it turned my life from one direction to another. It was mind blowing.
It's so good. Yeah. So solitude is good. I think that's what all of us are saying. Solitude, set that aside. That is good. We need it. And we've got to recover that capacity to do it, because until I can make sense of what's going on within me, I can't share anything with you. Nothing of depth or substance like you were talking about. So we might be hanging out and doing things together. But when you say, how are you? I don't even know, because I haven't set that thing down long enough to make sense of what's going on in it.
Yeah.
But if I have a regular practice of solitude, and now my friend comes and says, how are you? And opens the door for that conversation, now I can say, well, I have this going on. There's a little bit of sorrow, a little bit of sadness, a little bit of hope, whatever it is that I've found in there. So you need both. And you need true friendship. Cicero, without friendship, life is no life at all. Here's my question. What makes a good, when we talk about long, slow, deep, we talk about a friend who bonds at that deeper level. What makes a good friend like that? A good wayfaring friend? Katia, what do you think is the essential thing for a good wayfaring friend?
I think just connecting on the level of a moral basis, and also, I don't know, because that's kind of hard. Just because I have a variety of friends that come to mind right now that I would call lifelong friends, and sometimes necessarily we wouldn't see eye to eye on some things like that, but they bring such wisdom to the table, and I value it. So I think we have to be living for the same truth, I suppose, of us guiding in the way of just wanting to spread light and positivity and ignoring anything that's outside of that, in the sense of like ignoring drama. Like if we're in a conversation, I don't want to just be talking about what happened at the party. Like I want to be talking about, how are you feeling? What are you struggling with right now? How can we walk through it together? How are you working on it? Like we're helping each other. We're like partners in crime, that sort of thing. Like we're here to set light into the world. And how are we going to help each other do that? I think that's where I got to.
partners in crime, setting light in the world. Let's go.
That's right.
Set a little fire.
You literally quoted Lewis, though, with, I don't know if that was intentional or unintentional.
It
but
was intentional.
we see the same truth. C.S. Lewis.
Yeah.
We see the same truth. And I want to pull on this thread. Here we go, right? Now everybody's going to jump in, because this is the thing. I think it's real that all of us probably feel or have felt that we're surrounded by people, and some of those people, we see the same truth. We're rowing in the same direction. Some are not. Some are fun, but they're going in a different direction. I keep pointing at you, but what's going on?
Unwanted.
Yeah, that's right. Unwanted and lonely. But that's the thing.
Lonely.
And I hear you saying, like, for true friendship, that 3 to 5 that become those lifelong friends, those friends that do journey with you, what is it that makes that friendship stick? And I think Katya brings up something that Lewis pointed out. It seems to be that there's an essential question. Do we see the same truth? Are we aimed at the same thing? Do you feel like that's at the core, at the foundation?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, you have different levels of circles. It's like I have friends who, we believe wildly different things. And it's like I'm like good friends with those people, and we can share, laugh, like enjoy time together. But the very close friends, it's like it's just a deeper level to, especially around like Christianity. Like if you're really like relying on God and see Jesus as like your savior, it's like the way you interact is going to be wildly different. Like if I tell my non-Christian friend I'm going to pray, he's going to be like, oh, that's nice. It's basically meditation. Yeah. But if a friend in the close circle, it's like they're going to understand like how powerful that is. Or for like, I'm praying for you, to a non-Christian friend, that kind of means nothing. To a brother in Christ or a sister in Christ, that means a lot. So I think those things are super important if you're going to have that like deeper level friendship, for sure.
Yeah. What a strange, I mean, that's very real. Like, who do you call when your life is turned upside down suddenly? You experience loss or tragedy or diagnosis or disruption. That person you call, I think that they're going to be able to meet you in those core things that are the places you go in those times. You talked about prayer, episode 2 or episode 1. If you can't share that, if I can't meet you there and be like, would you pray? That's what I need. And if I can't meet you there, there's a gap there. Right. And I think that's what we're talking about. Like, wayfaring friends like, are going to journey with you.
You just see here, like there's no explaining. It's almost like you sit down and you feel like you've known this person for years because it just works. You're just like, dang, you finished my sentences.
We
that
see
sort
the same
of vibe.
truth.
Which is what happened when we all got together.
That's right. Just like that. We see the same truth. Yeah. I think, Jared, I want to know opposite of that, right? Like there are things, we see the same truth. We can trust each other. We share these things. These are the things that bond us and bind us together. And there's more. There's also things that are corrosive or almost lethal to that kind of long-term friendship. And I think, again, that's what we're after. Like we have people that we hang out with, people that we see. But when I'm 25, 28, 35, 46, when I lose a parent, lose a child, go through an illness, who will be those people that I share that part of the journey with? We build that with these, do we see the same truth? There's other friendships that just, it doesn't have it. And there's things that are corrosive or lethal to that long-term friendship. What are some of those things for you?
Yeah, when I was thinking about this, I feel like there's not any of my friends that I haven't gotten into some kind of argument with.
Sure.
Or have hurt in some way, whether, I say a lot of stupid jokes. So, I've
really
ruffled some feathers in my lifetime. And I think, a lot of friendships like that that builds a tension. It's like, how do you handle that tension? I think really matters. Like, are you willing to admit you're wrong? And people who aren't willing to admit they're wrong, think they're right. I think that kind of posture of that really hurts a lot of relationships, as well as, are you listening well to your friends? Like when they're trying to open up and like share with you, are you just trying to fix immediately, or are you, actually trying to listen and grow through that? Like I've had so many friends where it's like, hey, I want to open up and share something with you. And it's like, I don't need you to try to fix it. Like, I just want you to like be here with me. And it's like, it's funny how it's like, there's different little things like that of like how you're interacting that there's going to be tensions at some point because we're all built differently. We all view situations differently. And so learning how to, you know, kind of come together in that and grow. It's like some of my best friends are guys I didn't get along with initially that well. There's one guy in Chicago who I lived with. I love him a lot. And, you know, initially we kind of butt heads a lot, and then he became one of like my sweetest friends. And it's like the not being willing to handle confrontation well or not listening well, I think, are two things that can really, you know, torpedo a friendship very easily.
Yeah. What Jared was saying, go back and watch that again. It's gold, literally gold. When you think about that ability to listen and connect with me, what we're seeking is bonding, that bonded thing that we've shared something that we both shared together and we bonded over that. That happens over feelings. Again, it doesn't happen over ideas or things. It happens over that feeling. And if you can open that up and say, this is what I felt, and if I will hear that, then I can meet you there. But if I'm not even paying attention to that, I'm looking past it to fix it or to fill in whatever I'm going to say, I miss that essential bond. No, you have to listen. What else? What have you found? Like something that just hurt a friendship where it didn't endure. It couldn't endure. What are those things?
I think a good sign of a good friend is someone that when you share good news with, they get excited rather than jealous or competitive with it.
Yeah. They want to see you win.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you guys. What would you do if you had a friend who you've been walking with for a long time and been telling them to do a certain thing that you know is hurting them, but they're not doing it? Do you continue walking with that friend? Because it's low-key I feel like at a certain point that kind of influences you, and it's like, so what would you do in that kind of situation?
I feel like I have so many friends that it's like we have different views on a lot of different things. And, you know, I think it's important to make your position known. Like if you're not being authentic or if you're just like lying to them about like where you stand, like I think that can be disingenuous. This is a funny answer. What, you think I'm unwanted and lonely? I don't have friends that I actually talk to?
She was calling you out. She's like, wait a second.
Before the podcast started, Jared goes, it's kind of hot.
Am I sweating?
He goes, it's kind of hot. And I just see your forehead.
Am I sweating right now? I'm just really nervous about this question.
You deserve that after the Bulls.
And we got a new light. I don't know if you guys can
we
tell
get
in
the
the new
powder in
video.
here?
We
But
do need the powder.
it like really hits. I'm
It does.
sorry.
Yeah.
Way to ruin a
Poor
great
guy,
moment in the
yeah.
podcast.
It was so
Jeez.
good.
Clip
I'm
that.
sorry.
Clip
Hey, you know what?
I'm sorry.
I'm going to come down on Katya's side. The Bulls comment from episode
That's
1,
fair.
that was
That's
so
fair.
like straight to the shin that you deserve it.
That's true.
That's fair.
Payback. You get
I'm just
interrupted.
nervous about friendship.
Just
Speaking
keep-
about something I know nothing
You were
about.
speaking such truth and wisdom. You were speaking such wisdom, but then I
Yeah.
just couldn't help but think about when you're like, guys, it's kind of hot.
It is
You're just
very warm.
dripping
I'm
sweat.
sweating right now. I wore pants. That was a mistake.
We will.
We'll let maintenance.
I
know.
brought a crew neck to wear
Yeah.
too, which is really funny. That it was like I
No-
almost wore more clothes.
No
and
old
I'm
money aesthetic for you.
yeah, I'm in
No.
the sauna right now.
Okay, but I want to
Anyway,
know.
continue. I'm
Continue.
sorry.
We
I want
wanna
to hear
know.
the end.
Yeah, I'm like a friend retainer. Like I've like had so many friends over the years. It's like that can't really think of any friends that like I've like truly cut off because what they were doing was like harmful to me. And I think there's like a level of like making your position known. And it's like if they want to like step away because of that position, you know, that's one thing. But like I think, you know, continuing to love on people and encourage them, and you have to be careful to not let them like pull you into what they're maybe falling into, whatever it might be. But it's like, I think you make your position known, have that boundary, whatever it might be, and then, you know, continue to love them. Like I used to go to parties in college and not drink, but just hang out with people. And it's like friends would get drunk, and it's like, well, that's fine. You can get drunk. I'm not going to. And it's like, that's okay. But I think to cut people off of like, and it might be different levels and like circles of your friends. It's like if they want to take a step this way, it's like that's okay. It's like we might not be able to be as close if you're doing this, but you know, I still love you and want to be your friend.
Right.
I think that's important. You know, if you're cutting off people because they're making bad decisions, it's like eventually you're going to cut everybody off because everybody, you know, is going to make bad
Right.
decisions and be dumb eventually.
No, totally. I mean, I ask just because I feel like it happens to everyone at one point. Like, we're all growing together, and we're gonna enter into different like seasons of our life with friends we've had for a long time. And I feel like even in my life, I've become versions of Katya that I'm 1000% not today. And I've had friends walk through with me, and I'm so grateful because I think at our core we stay the same our whole life. Don't you think? Like we all have the same convictions that we've had since we were 5 years old, like the same passions, I'd think. Like you've always had a little bit of a humor, you know, you've always had a like depth and wisdom to you, Jonathan, and like we've all had the same themes in our life. So like I feel that the fact that you could like walk through with a friend and be like, I know who you are, and I'm going to continue walking and loving on you no matter what it takes. But I agree. I think if it's like coming into harm on your end.
Yeah, I think
It's not
like
cool.
one of the best things to always like, I feel like kind of like think of it is like, what would Jesus do? You know, it's kind of corny, but you know, the bracelets. Anybody remember the bracelet? I don't know.
WWJD.
Yeah. But yeah, like
Yeah.
what would Jesus do? Like would Jesus in the relationship? And I think Jared like put a great point to there. It's like you make like, you know, you make it aware to, you know, what you believe and, you know, where your line is, and you're not going to cross that line, but you're also not going to end that friendship and close the door on them because you still care about them and, you know, love and want to see them flourish. And I think also like that part of like that you were saying, like how none of us, like we don't, like deep down there's always a part of us that never change, and there's that part of us that is always going to be relational because that's how we're made. We're relational beings, and so we're always going to have that, you know, that sense of, you know, longing to be together and grow together. And I think that's like the whole topic we've kind of been around tonight, even of that idea of friendship, what makes a good friend, those, you know, those kind of thoughts. And so I think, you know, those are some great perspectives and some great, you know, things to think about when you're in like situations like that and you're thinking of friends and hard decisions with friends and decisions your friends are making, like what do I do in those things. And so maybe those are some things that might, you know, help in some of those situations. But
There's such a beauty in loving people through seasons.
Yeah.
Like I think that's like, you know, over the years getting to see people grow and like change, I think is like a fun thing. Like I had a buddy in college, he was like starting to talk to this girl, and I was like, dude, you should not date this girl. And he goes, I think I'm going to date this girl. I said, okay, you can date her. And they dated for like 2 months, and it ended really badly. And he was like, that was a mistake. And I go, it's pretty funny though. You know, and we get to like laugh about it.
you always have a story that starts with, I had a friend in college.
I had a buddy in college.
Yeah,
Buddy in
I had a buddy in college.
You got a lot of, it's me. It's me. It was me.
I was
You're
the buddy in
referencing yourself.
Friend entertainer.
Yeah. No.
This I want to go back to Jonathan, what he said on like loving well, and the idea that the people in our lives, we want the best for them. Like a good friend wants to see you win. And I think that's essential. Love seeks the other person's highest good.
Mm-hmm.
You can take that to the bank. Like, and some of this conversation, we're going to land maybe talking a little bit about Lewis's perspective from the Four Loves. He wrote on these different types of love. And friendship, yes, friendship being, just buy all Lewis's books and you'll be all right. But,
Dong.
ding, ding, ding. Yeah, in the Four Loves, he talks about friendship love and the idea that is a type of love that I want to see you win. I want to see your highest good. And at some point, seeing your highest good may be me talking to you with a little bit of conviction and a little bit of even friendly caution. You know, I don't know that this is the right relationship for you, and I'm not going to cut you out of my life, or I'm not going to disregard you, but I do need to, because I love you and I want your highest good, I have to have the courage to say the thing that needs to be said. And I think that that's essential too. I think that there's a moment, they say there is no friendship without virtue, and one of the classic virtues is courage. I want friends that have the courage to say, don't do that. I don't know that that's your highest good. That's hard. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to do that at the level of not just warning, but literally sitting down with a friend and saying, because I love you, I want to talk to you about something. This is not your highest good. Have you ever been in that position? That's hard.
Oh, yeah. I did this the other day.
Yeah?
I had to have a sit-down conversation with a friend because we had been in I won't be specific, but we were hanging out and she ran out to go be with somebody else. And it was just a red flag, all in all, like not a good situation. And I sat down with her at the end of the day and I was like, hey, I want to tell you something that's been on my mind. And it's not something I see you and I know you, and what you did today isn't really a reflection of you. And I just wanted to talk about it. I mean, I'm not judging you and I'm not criticizing you. I'm just telling you my ideas and whatever. And she was very, she was fighting back a little bit. And I told her, I'm like, do you think you're fighting back because you know that it, like, there's a truth to it of like, that's not who you are? And then the next day we talked about it and she's like, hey, thanks so much for talking to me. Like, I really needed that reminder of where to stand.
Yeah.
And so it was productive, and it wasn't judging. It was just, I know you and I know what you want in life. And I know, where you are. We're all growing. We're wayfaring. We're becoming new people and we want to experience things, but you don't want to fall too far from that goal.
Yeah. This is an essential thing. I mean, that we started this whole series, Wayfaring, in the conversation that it's not wandering aimlessly. It is walking and growing over time. Nobody's perfect. It's an unfolding thing. We're going to go forward and backward. But there's a difference between wandering and wayfaring. Wandering is, hey, it doesn't matter where you're going. I'm going to love you. You just do you. You do you. And I'm not that invested in you. This wayfaring posture says there is a good. That's a conviction. There is a true. There is a beautiful. Those things, there are objective things. And that's what makes it possible for me to seek your highest good. If there's no objective good, then what am I even talking about? To say, no, that's not your highest good. Our conviction is that there is a highest good. There is a moral aim. There is a human flourishing. And as your friend, I believe that. I'm convicted that I want your flourishing. I want you to win. And so it isn't good. I mean, this goes all the way down to public policy. If you go to San Francisco, you go to Portland, you go to these cities where we've adopted a policy even around houselessness, homelessness, addiction that says I can't intervene because that would be me putting my ideals on you. No. Love seeking the other person's highest good says, no, it's not good for you not to have a home. I want to help that and to intervene. And I think we're in a moment where it does require courage for us to raise up and be friends and to be those people who say, no, there is an aim and there is an ideal, but it's not easy. Jonathan, when you've been in those situations, how have you approached those when they've gone well, to take a posture of humility? How have you opened the door for those tough conversations?
I honestly can't remember any times that I've had that conversation with someone, but I've definitely had been on the other end of it and been the guy that was like,
how did that
we
go?
need to talk to him. It was, my family I love my family, but we don't necessarily share our emotions the best. And I'm off doing my own thing in college, and my dad calls me. He's like, hey, we need to have a family prayer night. And I'm like, the world is ending. So
Yeah.
It was essentially like an intervention. I go there and my family's all there, and they're all, they're like telling me that I'm not living my life well and I'm making all these mistakes. And it was so weird and uncomfortable because it just wasn't like my family to do that. And they were like, my mom was crying, my sister was crying. I can't remember like ever seeing them cry. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, man, I was just trying to have a little fun, what's the big deal?
This got weird.
Like, wow, this is too much. I was like, you guys are being dramatic. And obviously got very defensive, and I'm trying to push back on them saying like, no, like you guys don't get it. You guys are just, strict and stuck in your ways. And that's my initial reaction. But once it ended and I was back by myself, I couldn't deny any of the things that they were saying, and they approached it with so much love and truth, and they were very honest about how they felt, which was weird in itself. So the whole thing was just a lot to process, but that was the turning moment. And I didn't tell my parents because I didn't want to give them that satisfaction, but that was the turning moment that I was like, they're right. I couldn't deny it, and that saved me a lot. So
Now they know.
now they know.
Yeah.
Love you, Mom.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a
It's-
sweet story.
Is so good. I just circle this. Like, I think this is a treasure if this comes out of this episode, because it's a challenge on both sides to say, I want to be someone who has people in my life who seek my highest good.
Yeah.
Like, just think about that for a second. The vulnerability that takes to be loved like that. Like, do I want that or do I not want that? Because I can just have people around me who don't care. I can have people around me who will just let me do me regardless. But do I really want friends who will seek my highest good? That's a tough question, right?
It's hard. Like, I think that's kind of goes back to, you know, what can be a corrosive thing is like, are you willing to have that confrontation? It's like, it's easy. Let's like talk about where we've called out our friends, but you know, those times where friends approach you and go, hey, you're doing this and it's not good.
Mm.
You know, it's like that, those can be really hard.
Yeah.
And like, it's vulnerable to admit that they might be right and that you need to change some things and move forward. Like, that's a really difficult thing to do because people don't want to be wrong. You know, they want to feel good, but like truth and feelings together, I think are such a key thing in walking forward. And it can be difficult to do because I'm a very feelings guy.
Yeah.
So it's like, I like to let my feelings go. And if, you know, if truth gets in the way of that, I don't really like it that much.
Yeah. That conviction, there is a highest good, there is a good, there is a true, there is a beautiful, there is an aim. I'm not wandering, I'm wayfaring. And I'm not doing it alone, never alone, walking on towards that, right? And I want to do it together. That requires me to be vulnerable enough to say, I want people in my life who will seek my highest good, which means there's going to be a time where they're going to call me on something because it's not my highest good. I want that. On the other side of that, I want to be someone who is in the life of my friends with a conviction to seek their highest good. Like, if we could recover those two things and say, I want people in my life who will seek my highest good, and there is one, and I want to be someone who will seek others' highest good.
Oh yeah.
That's real friendship.
Oh yeah. I think that takes a lot of like, that's like the mind of like a leader, I would like to say. I don't know, because to take that step and say, I'm not just going to be friends with these people who just make me happy and we have fun together. Like, to step away from that and go searching for something deeper, that's a lonely move.
Yeah.
Because like, you could leave and then be lonely for like a couple months, several months, a year, until you find that solid ground of a group that just always encourages you to be the best version of yourself. So it takes a lot of courage to finally be like, all right, here we go. And then I've been in that situation when I've left, and I've had numerous people unfollow me on Instagram, never speak to me in public again, just because I decided to go a different route.
Yeah.
So it's pretty scary out there. So, I mean, it's easier said than done, but I have to say, I think it's the most valuable thing you could do, just because like I found these guys and I've found numerous little Bible studies, or not numerous, I just have one and they're awesome, but and just very valuable people that are awesome, but it's scary, my point.
And on the flip side, when you do make that switch and you lose a lot of friends, but the ones that did stay, those that still saw your highest good, even if they saw you take a different path, those are good friends.
There you go. Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Say that again, because there's going to be people who, when you make a decision that is in the direction of your highest good, I'm not going to wander, I'm going to aim, and a bunch of people drop off, but there's going to be people who celebrate that.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah.
My pessimistic mind.
Yeah. Hey.
There are people that stay.
No, but it's real though. There is a real loss, and I'm glad you said that. And that's brings us to a good follow up of we've felt that. Maybe you're in that season. Somebody's in that season who's listening to this conversation goes, you know, it's been hard and painful, but I've realized that I have not been with people in my life who seek my highest good. And I want that. And that's when you get to that. I think it's Aquinas who said true friendship is the greatest treasure. It's something to be prized, something to that effect. And then you go, when I've found it, you know that's not just like, oh yeah, acquaintances. When you have people in your life who do seek your highest good and they want to see you win like that, that's something to be prized. But if you've made the choice to go in that direction, there's going to be a gap. There's going to be a time, we've all felt it, where it is lonely. How do you sustain in that? When you've had to make that choice, how do you not just go right back?
Well, to tap onto what Jonathan just said, there are people that do stay.
Yeah.
And they encourage you and they're like, I see what you're doing. And I'm so happy you said that, because I just remember the day that I told one of my friends who was very much involved with this group, when I told her I'm not going to hang out with these people, blah, 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 she like gave me the biggest hug. And I was so shocked because like I thought she would have been upset that I left and wasn't supporting like that kind of lifestyle and things like that. But she's like, I'm so proud of you. I know you've been struggling a lot with that decision, and I know you're going to do great. And to this day, we're so tight. Thank you for saying that, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Wise.
Yeah, I feel like just in general friendship, like anything inside of friendship, I feel like a lot of times it just takes one to make the move. Like you can sit there and like be like, who's gonna make the first move? Like who's gonna be the first one to leave the group, or who's gonna be the first one to speak up and speak out on this? And everybody just sits there waiting, and it's like someone just has to spark. Like they have to be the first one to bring it up. And I feel like a lot of times if you're thinking of, like for me, there's plenty of times where I'm like, I want to reach out to this friend, but I don't know if I should. I don't know if I feel comfortable, or like it's going to be awkward. Should I even do it? And anytime I start thinking like that, I'm like, that's a sign that I should just be doing it already. Like,
Yes.
like there's no point. Like I feel like so many of my friends just sit here and just like wait and dance around until the first person's gonna come up and actually talk about it or get to the real conversation. It's like, no, if you're sitting there waiting for that conversation, just start the conversation yourself right there. And usually everybody else opens up, in my experience at least. Like that's how it works for me usually, is everybody's sitting here waiting for the conversation to start, or waiting to talk about something real or share something from their week that, you know, they're going through, or something hard. And it's like, how was your week? You know, like I've seen it was kind of tough for you. And then they go into it. So I don't know. I feel like that's a lot of the stuff I see personally in my life and my friend groups. And it's like, just start the conversation. Like, I know it can be scary and hard, but it's like, if you're sitting there sitting in that thinking, it's like, that's probably a sign that you should just be the one starting the conversation.
Yeah, I think even right now, people are wanting crisis of meaning, crisis of connection. And there's probably, I mean, we've all been in rooms where, exactly like Riley's describing, people are just aching for something real. And if you're the one who says, hey, how are you? Like, and just take the conversation, take the group in that direction, I think people will respond in so many times in ways that surprises you. Were going to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't feel like you have to, you know, axe off all your friends who might not be like doing that right now. Like, I think, you know, being in, like, if you want to have better friendships, if you want to have better conversations, like, you have to initiate those a lot. And I found, like, I mean, it can be weird, like, to have like work friends who you're like friends with at work, and then it's like taking that next level to be like friends, and then like talking about things outside of work. Like, that's something that, you know, happens naturally at some point. And it's like, I don't remember if it was me or my coworkers who like start those conversations, but when you ask questions about their life, what are they doing? Like, what are the other things? It's like, that's when you get, you know, those kind of deeper level friendships. And it's like, it blossoms and it can grow into something. It's like, just because right now it might be, you know, a certain dynamic doesn't mean it always has to be like that.
Yeah. We're all human. I think just remembering that, like, we all feel things. We're all we're emotional beings. Like, we all go home and we lay down in bed, and then we think about our emotions. Like, it is what it is. And it's like, I think when you make it that simple, it makes it so much easier to be vulnerable with others. And if they're too scared to be vulnerable with you too, then that's when I think that connection gets missed. But I think just remembering we're all human.
It's just a
Kind of
trust
what
thing.
you said, exactly.
It's a trust thing. Like, if, like, my coworkers know I'm a Christian, but they also know that I'm not going to like throw the hammer at them if they or start talking about what they did over the weekend, or if they do something crazy. You know, it's like, why would I? You know, because I don't want to judge them because it's like, I'll open up and talk about the stupid things I've done before. And it's like, you want to have that open dynamic of trust there, where it's like, you're not going to like go at somebody really hard if they do something wrong or judge them or whatever it might be, you know. And that's just like other level friendships, like Wayfarer friendships. It's like, it's important to, you know, also have that level of trust of like, let's just be real, because it's like everybody enjoys it when you're more real and you're honest and transparent.
Exactly.
It's crazy to think that we started out saying never alone, right? Never alone, walk on. Never alone, walking on. And the literal invitation is to follow me. And this is what I find extraordinary about the relationship we have with God in the Christian faith. Because in the Christian faith, it's not a transcending the body or reaching, you know, escaping consciousness, escaping the fullness of our and the fleshiness of our body. It's literally the incarnational faith. And you literally have a God who takes on flesh and comes in the person of Jesus and literally says the words, "I've called you my friends." And the invitation is literally like, come follow me. So even right now, sitting there going, who is that friend who will seek my highest good? And this is where spirituality for me doesn't float up into the clouds. It's literally God comes, and the one who you're looking for is the one who's looking for you. Here is this God who says, come, I've called you my friend. I seek your highest good. Will you follow me into that? And that's what's so beautiful about this journey. You go, if I say yes to that, the likelihood is I'm going to merge at some point on that journey with somebody else who has said yes to that. And they're pursuing that. And all of a sudden I find myself in the company of true friends. And again, that doesn't mean that I don't have work friends and college friends and all these relationships that are deeply important. I think the wisdom is to say I'm never alone. And the invitation is, I have a true friend who seeks my highest good. And once you realize that, that becomes your starting point. Never alone, walking on. And now I can be shoulder to shoulder with anybody else and invite them. I'm not leading that. I'm following. And it becomes this beautiful and freeing peace that comes. It's just remarkable.
I love that with the solitude too. When you go to be alone, it's not to go find yourself or seek whatever's inside you. It's to be with God and to wrestle with him and spend time with him and try, and because usually if you're in solitude, like there's something he's trying to tell you. At least that's what I found. So and it doesn't feel lonely when you think about God and Jesus on a level like that he's there and he's a friend and he's trying to tell you something.
What a radical reframe that Christian solitude is. I went to meet with God, never alone. We can literally say that with conviction. So good. I love being able to have this conversation. I mean, if for everybody walking this with us, I just want to bring us back to this. The point is we follow, never alone, walking on, and we get to do it together. And that's a reality that so many people right now are dying for and just hurting. And if that's you, I want you to know that we feel that and we have felt that. And I want to say you're not alone. God is literally with you. We're coming into Advent season and the idea that God with us, and there's a mystery there. But I know we're running low on time, but I got to ask, if you're in that place, or for somebody who's sitting in that place, what encouragement do you have for the person who they say, I hear you, God with us, yes, never alone, but it feels pretty alone right now, and I don't know where to go. Like, I literally don't know what to do to take a step in the direction of people who might embrace me like that. What would you say to that person? That might just be an encouragement to that person that is literally struggling with that sense that, no, you don't know my reality. I go home to my apartment and I literally broken relationships with my family and I don't have somebody.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, because I've been in that multiple times where I've like felt that kind of weight, and it's like, it's just a season. Just know that is not the rest of your life. You know, it is, it won't always be like that, especially if you want it to be different. And I'd also say, like, don't let that become like the identity of who you are. Like, sure. I think that so easily can overtake you and make you feel like, oh, I'm alone because of XYZ about myself, which I think can cause a spiral very easily when you're alone. And then it's like, I feel like you just have to take baby steps to figure out, you know, what is your kind of value. Obviously for wayfaring, you know, we're very much, you know, basing it around like Jesus, and I think getting involved in churches and finding different groups like that in your different cities can be very valuable as far as trying to start a lot of those friendships.
Yeah. I love it. I just circle that. Remember, again, back to Lewis, friendship is born the moment any two people say, oh, you too? And so
Yeah.
maybe find your you too, right? Like what is it? What's the thing? If it's soccer, get back out there and like kick
Right.
the ball around. You're going to bump into somebody who will say you too. But I love that, hey, it's not a season that's going to last forever. That we know that. And it doesn't feel like that. I know that. But it won't. It'll be there. Or there'll be another season on the backside of that. And then you too. Find the people that will
Mhm.
say you too. What were you going to say?
I was gonna jump onto exactly what you just said. Like, typically, like, if I'm in a season of that mindset, I like tap back into things that I would do as a child. As weird as that sounds, like when I was little, I loved painting and I loved being outside and just writing cute little poems in my little journal and drinking cute little teas and drinking cookies. Like, I just revert back into that person, and then I remember who I am. It's like I said a little while ago, like, you're born the same person you are today, and you really don't drift far from that. And so the passions that you had when you were little, they might look a little different. I don't play with dolls, but like you have the same imagination that you use in different contexts, you know? Why are y'all laughing?
I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing with dolls.
Jared does
Just
it all
saying.
the time.
I
yeah.
don't know. We just shamed that a
I'm
little bit.
sorry.
You just had
Do
a
you play with dolls,
you too moment
Jared?
right there. Like, oh, you too?
I'm not saying I play with dolls.
Not the
We
band.
can play
They're-
dollies together,
They're
Jared.
action figures.
Jonathan, in that moment where you feel like alone, right? In that person that's sitting there that doesn't feel like they have a place to go, where have you found, I guess, a generous welcome?
Well, it started with when I felt very alone. The key was like vision up. It went back to adoration, like to just breathe in and breathe out, and to remember that you're alive and you're breathing and you have the breath of life, and there's a creator that puts you here, and you even have the capability to feel alone. And you may be alone, but you're alive. So then to go out and find the people who will seek your highest good. And I think church is the place to do that, because that is the story of faith, is we have good news and we want to share it and we want you to flourish. So go to church and meet people who want that for you. That's where I found that a lot with you, just being involved in V3 is people I felt like family. Like from day one, you get in there and you're family.
Yeah. No, I love that. Just who are the people? Where can I go right now? And somebody's listening to this in Idaho, in a rural area, and you're going, there's not much around me. And I would just say, ask myself that question. The you too. What's the thing that I love that is uniquely me? Start there. And number two, where are the people in this area that are going to seek my highest good?
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that's part of what we wanted to do with this, right? That
Yeah.
as much as it's not the entire thing, we're going to keep having this conversation. And I hope everybody keeps joining in and saying, hey, we're rekindling something where there is a conversation about being someone who wants people in their life who seek their highest good, and who wants to be someone who seeks others' highest good. And if you choose that, and you choose that, and I choose that, and you choose that, and everybody starts being and orienting toward that, that's that wayfaring journey. It's good. And it's long, so deep, little by little.
It's good.
Yeah. If you're feeling like that, even just reach out. I can't say it enough. That's why we started the toast, never alone, walking on. And that's really the wayfaring way, that it's shift in perspective. It's a season for a while, but it's long, slow, deep. So take that deep breath and remind yourself the fact that you exist is a miracle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I tackle on one last thing to that? I'll feel upset if I don't get it off my chest, but it's like that to the person that feels alone. It's like, if you're feeling alone, it's, in order to get out of that feeling, it's going to take initiation. You're not going to be able to just sit there feeling alone forever and wait for somebody to come around. That may happen, But a lot of the times, I like in my experience, I don't know about you guys, but for me, I feel like if I'm feeling alone, I almost have to do something about it. Like I have to take that step to seek that opportunity, to seek the opportunity of friendship and relationship with people who are going to seek my highest good, people who are going to support me in my corner, people who are going to be with me through those moments. And it's hard to take that, I feel like we've said this a lot already on this episode. It's hard to take that step and step out your comfort zone and tell somebody that you may not even know that well that you're struggling and you feel like you're alone. But I feel like that's the opening for that. That's the opportunity for you to find that group. That's the opportunity for you to find a group that does seek your highest good. And so I feel like if you're feeling alone, I encourage you to take that initiation, to just step out in faith and step out and just find somebody. Because I'm sure there's somebody in the world, somewhere in your life, that does want to seek your highest good. So
yeah, and it's worth it. Like I had a friend share a quote with me when I was going through something kind of hard, and he was like, a good friend can double your joy and divide your grief. And I think that's, yeah.
I like it.
Double your joy.
I'd never heard that.
Divide your grief.
Yeah. And him especially, I found that to be true, is like we've called each other during some of the most joyous things and some of the hard things, and it's like just having good friends around in both of those situations, amplify it.
Yeah, it's so good. Let's do this. Somebody told me, I don't even know if it's true, but somebody told me that Bob Goff, he's an author, wrote Love Does, right? Dan, right? He wrote Love Does, and somebody said that he put his phone number at the back of the book. That was you.
Yeah.
You called him at the back of the book. This is extraordinary. So here's what we're going to do. We don't have the book to give you our phone number, but here's the deal. Zach, Z-A-C-H, at VUVIVO.com. And I think that's true for all of us, right? Everybody has the same, your name, at VUVIVO.com.
Mm-hmm.
So listen to me. If you're hearing this episode, take Riley's advice. And if you're feeling that sense of, hey, I want a community and some people to seek my highest good, you hit something resonated with this conversation tonight, but I don't know what to do. The step that Riley just invited is take the initiative to at least send us an email and tell us that. And we'll say, well, where do you live? And we'll start praying alongside you and thinking outside of the box of where those people might be in an embodied sense. But any of us, Riley at VUVIVO.com, Jared, Jonathan, Katya, any of us.
Mine's right here.
Look at that.
Oh, are we
No,
doing
it's
that?
not.
We're not that
Maybe.
good. We're not
Look
that
right
good.
If you're
here.
listening,
We're not that good yet. Hey, we'll keep the conversation going. This is just literally episode 3, but man, what a treasure, real friendship, and double the joy and divide the grief. I think that's a great way to say it. So
I like it.
yeah, let's leave it there. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You too, everybody.
There you go.
Gobble,
Gobble,
gobble.
gobble.